What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Division I Hockey Rankings Show for tonight. Privileged and pleased to be joined by two of the voices of Rhode Island hockey on Fans Only Sports Network, Cam Martin, Chris Hetu. Welcome to the show, guys. Crazy week that we had in Rhode Island hockey. I think a lot of people are going to be, Chet, you guys stirred the pot last week. I think we're going to stir it again this week after the way it went.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of discussion from last week and, of course, from the matchups that we saw this past week. A lot of shift in the power rankings going forward, but still a lot of familiar faces that we're going to discuss here today.
Yeah, I think you said it, a lot of shift in the power rankings. Cam, you can certainly attest to that.
Yeah, a lot of changes throughout this power rankings. I mean, we'll get into it, certainly. It's been a lot of great timing for certain teams to jump up.
Yeah, all right. Well, I say let's get right into it and let's go with the power rankings. So here we go. We're going to kick it off. Number 12, Smithfield Sentinels. They've got a good game coming up Friday against Mount St. Charles. Smithfield at the beginning of the season, I thought one of the teams that was going to be in the top, and I've seen some weird things with the Sentinels.
Cam, you take the reins, man. Yeah, you
Alrighty.
Go for it.
I mean, I was covering that game with Matt last weekend when they were doing PROUT versus Smithfield. I mean, when I was watching the film, I thought it was a team that was missing, lack of offense or something like that. Totally wrong about that. I saw a team that really lacked a competitive effort on the ice. And just a poor defensive system where if the puck's in deep, the forwards aren't really helping that, or the centerman's not really helping out that much. Like, you're getting these just awful, or just like lack of just knowing where to be on the ice for the forwards. And I just think it's just one of the bad things about this Smithfield team. And it's leading into their goals allowed. I mean, they got 4.2 goals allowed per game this year, and it's second to last in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just been a lot of question marks with this team in terms of regarding the offense, regarding the defense. They're just not in sync with each other. Prout managed to get their revenge 5-1 in a game against them a few weeks back. And now we're really starting to question what's going on with the Smithfield unit, because we see a lot of returning stars like Nate Goff, like James Sylvester, like Anthony Mercurio. And for some reason, we're just not seeing them mesh at all as of right now. And I mean, it takes time, but we're in the thick of things now. Honestly, right after the first week, after the following of the new year, that's when the real hockey season begins in the state of Rhode Island. And the fact that this team really hasn't taken those strong strides forward is not a good sign for them going forward in this season.
Yeah, I think Matt Bradley has certainly been, as good as we thought he could be in net, but at the same time, I think the defense in front of him has been a little sus. But to me, I think the biggest thing of Smithfield has been their power play has just been, I don't have a word for it anymore. It's like, what are you doing? Is like the only thing that I can really think of.
I mean, they're converting. I have them at a 18.8 power play percentage, but I don't know. I don't know what it is about this team. I mean, the fact that the offense has been so poorly, where you had to move your top 3 league defensemen of Chase Rinker to center, speaks a lot of volume about this offense as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, this matchup, we'll obviously discuss Mount St. Charles. This team is now currently on a 3-game win streak. This is going to be a must win for Smithfield. And of course, we know the Mounties. They're a team that when they get hot, they're good. They're a very renowned school in terms of the hockey program. And this is going to be a tough task for Smithfield to take on.
From Smithfield up 1-2, the newest team in Division 1, North Kingstown Skippers, and the biggest test they'll probably face this season so far, at least, as they come up with a game Wednesday night at Boss against the Hendricken Hawks.
Yeah, and this is going to be very interesting because the Skippers, they managed to get a win early on in the season, but on Friday, they fell to the Mount St. Charles Mounties. Final score in that game was 6-1. At one point, it was 2-1 in the first period, and then just 5 unanswered goals, or 4 unanswered in that way, for the Skippers to give up on. And the thing is, this team, when it finds its stride, they're good at getting those setups. They're good at finding the holes in the slot or even in the corners of the net. But the problem is, it's just not working. Nothing's working for them right now. We're kind of seeing them play on their heels a lot. These teams that they're facing, as we've mentioned, they're newly promoted to Division 1. It's a lot different than D2. So for them, this is going to be a growing pains season for them. And the Hawks, this is going to be one of their biggest tasks, is taking on a team such as this, one of the top 3 teams in the state.
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Cam.
I was going to say, I mean, Hetu talks about growing pains. I mean, when you look at this team, they have one of the worst goal differentials in the league at -14. But then we had their last game against Burrillville, where we had the forward Jake Roger come out of nowhere with a 5-goal game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, Warwick certainly had its growing pains in Division 1 when they came up, and then look at where they are now. So North Kingstown, they're going to have to take their lumps. It's their first year in Division 1. We're certainly going to see what they do going forward in years 2, 3, and forward. To number 10 on the rankings this week, in a game against the Burrillville Broncos coming up on Friday, it's the Moses Brown Quakers.
Yeah, and I mean, the Quakers, they managed to, in the tournament, it's interesting that they're playing Burrillville for real this time. In the Burrillville tournament, these two teams faced each other, and Moses Brown actually played quite a good game. And the thing about the Quakers is the offense, it's not as strong as we saw last season, but that defense, they've got some good defensemen on this team, and they're kind of really causing problems for opposing offenses. And we saw that with Burrillville. Burrillville only managed to take that game in the tournament by a final score of 2-1 in shootouts. So what we're seeing from the Quakers, it's definitely a little bit different this year, but they're in the mix of things right now. There's just a little bit of tweaks they need to make offensively. They need to get Owen O'Farrell, Ethan Garneau, and some of those other guys a little more involved and a little more meshing together with each other. And then we'll see better setups in front of the net. And Camden Lucier, he's playing just as good as he did last year. It's just tough at times to really keep up that solid brick wall that a goaltender really is if you can't generate points.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need some scoring, with their goals per game at 1.3, with 5 goals overall in those 4 games. I mean, you need someone to step up. Like, even Lucier, as you mentioned, like, you need someone to step up.
Mm-hmm.
First year for the Moses Brown Quakers under new head coach Frank Feedy, and talking with assistant coach Jeff Giusti the other day, and he said, we're there. We just got to connect a few more things, and it's all going to come together. So they've got some time to make it work. Speaking of the Burrillville Broncos, they are at number 9, and they play against the Moses Brown Quakers. Obviously, we mentioned that. So let's just go ahead and talk about the Burrillville Broncos. And the Burrillville Broncos are an ER ward right now.
Yeah, and I mean, for them, this is a team that, if I could describe it, it's a fall from grace, because this is a team that at the beginning of the season had all the pieces it needed to establish a very high-scoring offense. We didn't see it the first week, but the following weeks, 5 and 6 goals all put up on the board for this unit. But then you lose the O'Farrell brothers, the Farrell brothers. Then you also have Rodriguez going down with a concussion. They lose defenseman Cam Potter. So this unit, they've kind of been struggling with a lot of those injuries. This team was in the top 5 at the beginning of the year, and now they've fallen to the near bottom part of the division at this point in terms of our power rankings. Is this team good? Yes, I believe it is. But they need to work around these injuries. They need these other players that they have on their roster to really step up, to propel them higher up in terms of the division.
I mean, when I was covering that Burrillville-Barrington game last week as well, I just saw a team that had a lot of question marks in the offensive zone even. They just look lost without Rodriguez out there just manning their offense. And facilitating the puck even. I mean, and we also, for Burrillville, we lost Mike Fioid out with an injury during that game, and their power play has just had woes. Like it's been so bad for them. But then again, they're getting most of their scoring from even strength. I mean, they have the second most in Division 1 as of right now with 21.
Yeah, Devlin Mansloff called into duty as Mike Fiad went out in that game. Yeah, Burrillville Potter back, but he only looked 50-50. So in that game against EG, still no Rodriguez. Farrell brothers are done for the season. Their roster sheet, I think, had about 9 red marks on it, and it was kind of an awkward spot to be. From the 9, we go to the 8th spot, and the Barrington Eagles, I think, have been a little bit of a surprise this season. They're going to have a difficult game, though, Saturday against Cumberland.
Yeah, and Barrington, this was one of the first teams I got to cover this season, playing against North Kingstown. They ended up winning that game. I believe it was 6-0 at the end of the day. But this team, they've had some up and downs. They're definitely right now a middle of the pack team, as you can see right now. But they've got some promising signs, and I like Trevor Snow. I think he's an excellent skater out there. He's really the one who kind of helps generate a lot of offense on this team. There's still a little bit of things to work on. I think goaltending is a little bit of an issue for this unit, and then even defense. And sometimes offense. It's just a little too much of up and downs for them. So right now, they're in a good spot, but they have a chance to get a little bit better, and they've got the time to do it, but they got to do it soon.
Yeah, you talk about goaltending. I mean, Dominic Baruzzi hasn't been the greatest. 4 goals against average with an .833 save percentage. I mean, you need a little bit more production from his end. I mean, Snow came off a great, or sorry, not so. I'm sorry. Chase Watts came off a great game against
He just joined the stream too.
Yeah, Trevor Snow, Ben LeBrecht just came right in at that moment. Kind of
Speak of the devil.
That's awkward. Anyways, yeah, Chase Watts had a good game, 2 goals in that Burrillville game, and they have the second best power play out there. But then again, their power play seems as though is the only way how they produce goals. I mean, 43% of their goals are coming from that power play.
So where we're at right now, Smithfield at the 12th spot, North Kingstown at 11, Moses Brown at 10, the Burrillville Broncos at 9, and the Barrington Eagles at 8. For those of you that are watching us on fansonlysports.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, we're going to take a quick 30-second break. For those of you watching on Instagram Live, obviously you're staying right here with us. This is the Rhode Island Hockey Division I Power Rankings Show on Fans Only Sports Network.
Game On mouthguards. Game On mouthguards have superior shock absorbency, are impervious to viruses and bacteria, and also is the only mouthpiece ever to earn the American Dental Association's seal of acceptance.
That's an iconic picture.
All right, welcome back to those of you that are watching us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or on fansonlysports.com. It's the Rhode Island High School Hockey Power Rankings Show with Chris Hetu and Cam Martin. We've gone from 12 through 8, as you see on the screen, and we're going to go ahead and drop it in to the number 7 slot and the PROUT Crusaders, and they're going to have to take on the LaSalle Rams on Wednesday night.
Yeah, this is an interesting team right here, because this was not a team I thought we'd see higher up on the rankings this season. But surprisingly, they've been able to put some things together in recent weeks and kind of really surprise us a whole bunch. So for the Crusaders, right now, I mean, I haven't gotten to cover this team a whole lot this year, but based on what I've seen and what I've seen statistically, they've been able to mesh pretty well at times in terms of the offensive scoring, the defensive coverage, and even goaltending. So they just keep up on the right pace, and they could find themselves in a very interesting spot come the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, this PROUT team is a very balanced team. You know, 2.5 goals for a game and a 2.7 goals against. I mean, you want that goals against a little bit lower, but you'll take what you get. I mean, Aiden Forcier, we keep talking about him on this show. I mean, he just flies on the ice and just does – he just does a great job. 4 power play goals for the Crusaders. And although, or I'm sorry, I'm lost in my notes. Karamidas leading the team with 3 first assists, and Evangelistes hasn't played that bad. I mean, I like his game. 256 goals against with a 910 save percentage. He's looked good for them so far.
Yeah, I actually feel like Evangelista has been a little bit of the better goaltender for them in the games in which he's played, but we'll see how that goes. And we welcome Tim Duffy into the show on our fansonlysports.com, Instagram, and Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Is the notorious TJD.
What's up, gang? Sorry,
if we can get him here on the IG Live too, that would even be sick. But that's on Cam Martin. He's got to take care of that part.
Yeah, I'm the gatekeeper. I'm bringing in Duffy.
So we're gonna get Duffy.
I'm bringing in Duffy.
We're gonna get Duffy in on the IG Live, but we're also gonna go ahead here as well too, and we're gonna talk about the number 6 team on the rankings, the East Greenwich Avengers, and they've got the Warwick co-op team coming up.
Yeah, and this was a team, as we mentioned before, we saw them in the state championship last season, a very solid unit, but losing some big-time seniors last year, including their man Annette Colbaron. But we've seen some good play out of Noah Shaniga. Noah Shaniga's been rock solid, and then we see players like Sonny Arsenal really trying to take up the leadership position along with Joe Andriozzi, Peter Dorley. You've got some good skaters there. However, I think what we're seeing is a little lack of offense at times. The goaltending is pretty good, but I think we need to see more production in terms of getting into that offensive zone and finding the holes in that spot, because either this team's hot or it's cold, and that's an issue that they need to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, for their offense, they just need to draw a little bit more penalties. They were towards the bottom when it comes to power play opportunities with just 11. I mean, but they do have a great penalty kill. They got the 3rd best in the league, and they seem like if they just get the goals going, they can be unstoppable.
All right, so we're gonna go from 6 to the 5 spot. The Cumberland Clippers in the 5 slot this week against the Mount St. Charles Mounties, who are kind of starting to look like they might have it clicking in.
Yeah, and for me, Cumberland, this is probably one of my favorite teams to watch this year. I mentioned it last week with Cam. This is just a fun hockey team. It really is. When they get going, they're in it. Like, they're all fired up, and like this team really has a good collective group on their hands. I mean, you got great goal scorers out of Christian Oliveira, out of Seth Perrin, out of Sam Lopes, and then you got other skaters out there like Troy Sen taking on duties, Jacob Lopes, and even defenseman Connor McGill. I like what I see out of this unit. I think there's a lot of great skaters, and I think this is a team that can bring a lot of trouble to some of our top 5 seeds that we'll see as we go on in this discussion. But the Clippers right now, they got a tall task taking on the Mounties, who have gone or are now on a 3-game win streak. They're the most winningest team in the state as of this moment. So right now, Clippers, I like the spot they're in, and they got to keep this momentum moving forward.
Yeah, well, they do definitely have a tough challenge ahead of them this week. But, I mean, they definitely need to get some more scoring from those 2nd and 3rd lines. I mean, you love the goal scoring that you see from Oliveira and from Lopes and Sean Taylor, for that matter. But you'd like to see a little bit more from those 2nd and 3rd line guys, just so, like, if those guys have an off day, your teammates have your back, and they can always produce for you.
Duffy.
Yeah, sorry. Cumberland. I mean, like I told you earlier. I gotta get.
We can't hear you, Duff.
We can't hear you, Duffy.
Hear me at all?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, can't hear him on IG.
All right. Oh, on IG. Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
You can't hear me on StreamYard?
No, we can hear you on there.
I can hear you on both.
Okay,
yeah, you're
cool,
good.
Cool. I mean, Cumberland, this is definitely a team that shocked a lot of people this year. Had some big wins earlier in the year. And against Mount, I mean, it's a big game tomorrow. Really going to be a testament to how good they really are. I've yet to see Cumberland so far this year, unfortunately, but I've seen their content on our Instagram page. Look, a good team, potent offense, good attack, and tomorrow's going to be one of those games that really defines them. So, let's see if they can even climb up even more in these rankings, because I don't think anyone really expected Cumberland to be this high, a couple months ago.
We got one more team in part 2 of the rankings. It's number 4. It is the Mount St. Charles Mounties, who Chris Hetu mentioned, on a 3-game overall win streak right now, and they've got the number 5 Cumberland Clippers.
Yeah, and this team, for me, I was a little surprised because at the start of the year, this team was kind of the bottom of the barrel in terms of Division I hockey. This was a unit last year that had some really good skaters, really good goaltender out of Jason Mandeville. Mandeville now gone, but yet Dylan Hanna, he's looked pretty good in net as of this point. He's really stepped up in his A game and the potential that he needs to play at. And we're seeing good at play out of players such as Colden Lawrence, Logan Lefebvre, Antonio Lombari, some good unit that's still preserved from last year. So this team, they've really turned it up the last 3 games. Can they keep this momentum going forward against the tough Cumberland Clippers unit?
Yeah, I mean, this huge jump for Mount St. Charles from 8 up to 4 now, it's been a great timing for them. We had the tie from Cumberland against Moses Brown. That dropped them down 1. Then we had the EG big loss against Hendricken, 5-0. That's another drop down. I mean, they just timed it so perfectly with those 2 back-to-back wins last week and 3 overall in their win streak. And it's just looked great for them. I mean, you've mentioned those players in Colden Lawrence, but also Kyle Smolin. He's looked great for them. I mean, 7 points overall, 2 first assists and he's leading the team in goals for the Mounties.
So there we got it from 12 up to 4 now at the Mount St. Charles Mounties. We're going to take one more quick break. For those of you watching us on fansonlysports.com and on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Yeah, we'll be back in 30 seconds. Instagram Live, obviously, we're staying right here.
Game On mouthguards. Game On mouthguards have superior shock absorbency, are impervious to viruses and bacteria, and also is the only mouthpiece ever to earn the American Dental Association's seal of acceptance.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
See what people think here.
Welcome back on the Rhode Island Hockey Division I Power Rankings show. For all of those you join us on fansonlysports.com, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Thank you so much. For those of you who are watching us on IG Live, thank you so much, as well as I see the Lincoln Lions making a little bit of a mention. Lincoln Lions, I'm just going to mention this. Got to be the story of Division II right now is the Lincoln Lions. There's a lot to talk about there, but we're going to get into number 3, and it's the story in my mind of the season in Division I. It's Warwick Co-op, who have just been unreal this year. I mean, it doesn't matter whose name you mention on the roster. This team has been insane to watch, and they've had some great upsets.
Yeah, Warwick has definitely been quite the team to watch this year. As we mentioned last week, Bishop Hendricken was defeated by them at Thayer, final score 5-2. However, they go up against the number 1 seed LaSalle Rams, and they end up getting shut out 3-0. So it was very interesting to see them go on this hot streak and then suddenly cool off. So now some questions are starting to come out of the woodwork again. Where is this team going? What is this team capable of? We'll see. We'll see. I think they just got caught off guard a little bit. This team has very strong players that have developed since last season, and I think we're only going to see them really take what they saw in that loss against LaSalle and really generate it for going forward. Don't put this team on the back burner. This team is dangerous, and sure, they fell from the 2 spot to the 3, but I don't see them falling any further down this list.
Apparently, according to Instagram comments, Tim Hetu is mom and Chris Hetu is mom and Tim Duffy's dad.
What?
I don't know what that's about,
Jared
but that
Quinn,
just
my
came up in
guy.
the Instagram comments, and I just started laughing hysterically. It's like Tim is dad, Hetu is mom.
We are Jarrett Quinn, the Spider-Man's parents for sure. But,
Yes, we are.
This Warwick
I love
team-
you, son.
I love you too, son, man. It's my guy. But Warwick's one of those teams, like you said, Chet, they kind of, there's a lot of narrative around them. Very improved team from last year, kind of similar to what we're seeing with Mount too. A lot of those guys returning, and they're building that chemistry again this year with Warwick. The team that we saw get smoked by LaSalle last year in the playoffs. I mean, only had 9 shots in that first game against LaSalle in the playoffs, and it was kind of a see what they're made of match against the Rams, recently. But they beat Bishop Hendricken, the defending champs, which is a huge win by any stretch of the imagination. And this team really looking forward to what they can do the rest of the year. I mean, they're number 3 now. I think they're going to stay at 3 for a while. The odds are against them to go down a little bit. See how much of see how real this team really is. But got some good players, good goal scorers. We saw it against Hendricken. Let's see if they can keep it going against the rest of this Division 1.
Yeah, I mean, they got a top 4 offense led by Ryan Barlow. I mean, he's got 6 goals on the year for them, and I believe 9 overall with 3 assists. I mean, he's just looked great for them overall, and they have a top 4 offense with 3.2 goals for per game. I mean, maybe a little bit more overall from them, and they have a really good chance at winning the Division 1 title this year, but they'll make a great push come playoff time. I believe so.
From number 3 to number 2, and it's the defending champs, the Bishop Hendricken Hawks. A little bit of an easy one for them on Wednesday, perhaps. They have North Kingstown.
Yeah, and Bishop Hendricken, this team really came into this week on a very interesting note. We see them shut out EG 5-0. Then they go to Smithfield and play LaSalle, and that game was a great game to be a part of, as usual. I mean, was able to cover them last year. Once again, able to do it this year. Definitely very fortunate to have that. And their performance is still there. This team is still the same team that we're seeing from last year. Strong unit out of players that you have to mention, such as Will Kavanaugh. You have to talk about John LaRose, Christopher Hughes, Nick Regine. And then, of course, in net now for this year, I believe it's Colin Murray, excuse me. Colin Murray. Colin Murray's, honestly taking up a big spot in terms of what we saw from Drew Carr in the previous seasons. And Murray's a solid goaltender. I like what I see out of him, and I like this unit right here. They definitely probably didn't want the result to end in what we all got, which was a 3-3 tie at the end of the day. But this team held in at the end of the day and didn't prevent another goal scored after that LaSalle resurgence at the end.
I vote for NHL-style shootouts in high school hockey. Let's get it going in overtime right now. Let's have 5-minute 3-on-3 NHL-style shootout. Well, with that being said, the fact that the Bishop Hendricken Hawks are 2, it means that the LaSalle Academy Rams are the number 1 team on the power rankings this week, and they've got the PROUT Crusaders on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and this one should be – I don't want to say that any matchup in the state is an easy one. You're in Division 1 for a reason. You're one of the best teams. You're here. But this unit has no losses on the year. We are the only team without a loss, 4-0-1. And this team is without a doubt a team that scores by committee. They're moving the puck all over the floor, but I definitely am starting to see the emergence of one shooter that I really think we have to talk about, which is the number 7 of Andrew Bradley. Andrew Bradley had 2 goals in last week's game, 1 a power play goal. They might have both been power play goals, but at the end of the day, he helped spark that comeback that LaSalle had against Hendricken that we saw on Saturday that resulted in the game ending in a tie. I like what I see out of this unit. And then, of course, I love what we see out of Caleb Jahorjian. Jahorjian has just been amazing.
Jahorjian.
I'm just saying what his dad told me how to say it.
Yeah.
Jahorjian?
Jahorjian.
Yes.
Well, I've been pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yes.
We've all been apparently.
Yeah. But honestly,
tough name. It's a tough name.
As of this point, He is taking on the same light that we saw Max Boot at last season, the number one goaltender in the state, and LaSalle Rams, they're number one just because they were last year, but they've got some more tough tasks to pull off before the end of this one.
I lost Hetu's audio at the end of that one on IG Live.
You got the point across though.
Yes.
I think. But yeah. So SALLE team is really nice. They're well built. You know, lost a lot of their seniors last year, as we know. There was a lot of core pieces that they're missing, including, like you mentioned, Max Coop, but Caleb Georgian. He's done a great job in net this year so far. That's why they're undefeated. A big reason why. But a lot of good goal scorers on this team. A lot of good players. You got Paul Bogosian, Andrew Bradley, Ferteshi, Ronan Peterson. A lot of those guys, a lot of returning players, juniors and seniors alike. You know, if you keep it on the roster as well, a lot of young, talented players in this team. You know, there's a reason why they're in the thick of things every single year because, you know, they're well built. It's a great team. And there's a reason why they're number one in the rankings right now. And probably the favorite to win the championship as of now. I mean, we said the same thing last year. They didn't win the championship, but we'll see how the season goes. And, you know, LaSalle, you know, they're always in it. So those are me and Chet's boys too. So.
Yeah, they want to get through. They want to get through this week unscathed before they head down to New Jersey to the ODR for the high school outdoor classic game that Navasink Country Club against Christian Brothers Academy. That's coming up on January 16th. So they're looking forward to certainly trying to get through this weekend healthy. But that's it. We've gone from 12 all the way through 1, from Smithfield to North Kingstown, Moses Brown, Burrillville, Barrington, Prout, East Greenwich, Cumberland, and Mount St. Charles in the top 3 this week. Warwick Co-op at 3, Bishop Hendricken at 2, and the LaSalle Rams at number 1. We're going to close this show off, but before we do close the show, I got to go around the horn really quickly. Georgia TCU, about to kick off. Who you got?
That's a tough one, man. I'm going to go with my –
I like that. I like the way to end it.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, I mean, I like the story we've seen out of TCU this year, but I'm going to go with the experience. I'm going to take the Georgia Bulldogs.
Duffy.
I mean, I like that as well, Ch. I agree. Georgia 14-0. I mean, this is a team that won the championship last year. They're the new Alabama, you know, and I hate to. I really
He's
want
not
to
wrong.
He's not.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I like Max Duggan a lot. I like that TCU team a lot. They've been a team of destiny this season. You know, their one loss coming in overtime in the Big 12 championship, but it's Georgia, man. This team has smoked, you know, everyone from head to toe. There's a reason why they're the new Alabama. It's because they're elite. This is the best team in college football that ever won for a reason. And I'm going to take Georgia, and I'm going to say they cover the spread too. So give me Georgia.
Cam, who you got?
I'm gonna go the underdog. I got TCU. Everybody thought Michigan was gonna be in the championship. What happened? They lost to this Hypnotoad team. I mean, they look pretty good in that game too.
Is that a Futurama reference?
They dominated.
Oh no, man! I don't know, man. I had TCU against Michigan. So.
Oh, you did? All right, there you go.
I have to say because Rhode Island, Xavier Truss, Bishop Hendricken Hawks, the Georgia Bulldogs pull it off again. Stetson Bennett is the best quarterback in college football, hands down. That dude should have a Heisman Trophy to his name. But anyway, I think the Georgia Bulldogs, pull this one off and get home number 2.
25 years old in these.
He was called Stetson Bennett.
He's not even the best
in college football. That was awesome.
Not even that.
I didn't know Bryce Young and Caleb Williams passed away.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right, that does it for us here on Fans Only Sports Network for tonight's Rhode Island High School Power Ranking Show. For the men, the myths, and the legends, Tim Duffy, Chris Hetu, check them out on Unapologetic. Coming up tonight. Are you guys doing the show tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be on in exactly.
We're doing it 8:15.
24 minutes.
No, we're gonna do it. Let's do the 8. Let's do the 8.
You're gonna do it during the middle of the game. That's
wild.
Dude, you're literally contradicting what I just said. 23 minutes we're going live.
Dude, I I just wasn't trying to go live at 7:30, but the game is at 7:30, so I thought it was gonna be later. Whatever.
Do a quick show at halftime.
I've been binging homework today.
For,
There you go.
for Stats Boy Cam Martin over there, who keeps us honest because we don't know what we're talking about without this guy, the man of the numbers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you all in the rink tomorrow night. Providence College, Cumberland, Mount St. Charles kicks off the next week of high school ice hockey. Always check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever social media you might have at FO Sports. All things hockey. Check us out on Instagram at ri.hockey, and always follow us on Fans Only Sports. It's Fans Only SPORTZ.com. And I am going to go make myself some macaroni and cheese and watch Georgia win a national championship.
Yep, me too. Minus the mac and cheese.
Go Toads.
Peace out, guys. Appreciate
God
it.
bless. Peace.
All right.
Peace.